I'm gonna take me off the screen. So hello everybody, this is Tim, and that's enough of that. Let me just go to this, jump onto what you can see. So this is my iPad. I'm going to do everything on my iPad. So Kinemaster is this one here. Okay, so I'm just going to open Kinemaster. In fact, let me just go out of that. So this is the platform. When you open it up, it pretty much gets this. This is all, these here are all the videos that I've already edited. I just posted this one about how to get your first gig just recently, and there's a bunch of other things to do. So I'm just going to go up to this button up here and press start a new video. So I'll just do that. Now, what I like about Kinemaster is it gives you the option of the vertical video that Guan keeps talking about. He keeps saying, use the vertical video for everything. But there's a 1-to-1 ratio and there's a 16:9 ratio. For the purposes of this one, I'm going to use the 16:9, the normal horizontal ratio, because most of the people that are going to be watching this are going to be watching it on their desktop or laptop at work, because it's a work-based one. So that's why I'm doing that. It's not a Instagram TV or story or something like this. And this is then the interface for Kinemaster. Okay. Effectively, you add your media by going up here. So there's a big red button just here, which is if you want to record yourself live, and it'll start recording you. But I don't want to do that. I want to add some media. So I'm going to hit the media button. Down the bottom here, you got your choice between video and photo. Okay, so that's the two main types of media.
Tim, just bear in mind that we can't see your cursor when you're explaining what you're doing.
That's why I've got another video of me with my finger.
Well, there you go. I wasn't looking at both. Sorry, there can never be too many Tims.
Yeah. So there's a video button here. There's the photo button down here. I'm going to add the video, so I'm just going to go up to all, however you've arranged your video. Now, this is the challenge. I have no idea where the damn video is. And let me just have a look at. Let me just go into something else. Go into this. This is the video I want. It's 4 minutes 32. That was just in my photos. So I'm just going to go back here and look for something that's 4 minutes 32, because that'll be the video. So just give me a second while I clunk through this. 4 minutes 32. That looks like it. Yep. All right. So there's the video. So I've just hit the tick button at the top right corner, and that the video is now there in the timeline. As you can see, I can pinch the timeline to expand it, contract the timeline, which is very helpful when you want to see an overview of what the heck you've been doing. But here's the video. Now, this particular video is me interviewing, well, me and Nikki having a bit of an interview. And in fact, what we're doing in this video is we are previewing a speaker that we're about to interview in a later session. So this is a little preview video that goes for, at the moment, 4 minutes, but I'll end up chopping it up. And the thing is, we could just post that video with a simple title or something on iMovie, but I just think that looks terrible. What I want to do is I want it to look like this. So let me just show you an example of a video we've done before. And it looks like that. Now, so that's exactly the same. Well, it's not. We're sitting on opposite sides, but that's pretty much, oops. Let me just get out of that. That's the same video of me and Nikki. But it's got a nice backdrop, which is just the picture of the actual event. And it's got us there on a yellow border and everything else. And actually, as I go through, I wonder if you can actually hear anything. Hi, everyone, and welcome once again to... Wow, you could hear that. Did you hear that? That's amazing. Okay, so here, let me show you the elements that I've put in this, and then I'll show you how to put the elements together, okay? So this top line is your main line up here in the, you see all these little lines here of all the elements that we've got in the video. That top line is going to be a main one. You've got extra things that you can do with this and limited things you can do with this. You can change the speed of this one. You can't change the speed of any of the others. So if you want to speed things up and slow things down, it has to be in the main line. Usually, I will put the video in the main line. But for this particular video, I decided actually to put the background in the main line. And there's a couple of reasons for that. But let me show you something else. The background doesn't actually fit the way I wanted it to fit. Because the letters don't go up here when the background is full screen. So if I just move this out of the way, you'll see what I've done. Okay, so that's how the background fits when I crop it. Let me just, I'll show you how to do all of these elements. I just want to tell you about the elements first. So what I did is I just added the background again, cropped it, and put it down the bottom. And if I just move that back again, so I'm just going to hold my finger on it to move it back. You'll see the background doesn't actually line up properly here, but nobody knows. So it doesn't matter. Only I know. Nobody knows that that's supposed to be a full box here, but it doesn't really matter. It looks fine. It does what it's supposed to do. Then I've overlaid the next thing I've done. So that's the media button. When you hit the media button, you're putting your main line of media in. Everything else under that is an overlay or a layer. So that's what this button is over here. It's the layer button. When you hit that button, you have the choice of adding in more videos or pictures, which is media, a special effect of some description, which is there's a little shop icon in the top where you can buy more things. I haven't bought anything else so far. So all the videos I've done, I haven't bought anything. But this allows you to blur or do mosaic if you're interviewing someone who doesn't want their face on video. Why they're being on video, I don't know. So you're videoing them. Oh, if there's a person in the background and you don't have permission, you would just want to blur them out. You can do stuff like that. But I'm not going to bother with that. I practically never use the FX layer. The main ones I use are media to add in pictures and photos. The next one I use a T for titles, which is very important. That's where all my words and everything will come in on the screen. Overlay is adding on a sticker, which I think makes your thing look like a 12-year-old in South Korea putting on stickers all over your video. I don't think you need to do that. So, but if you like stickers, you've got, you know, a limited range of eggs and emojis and stuff like that you can flash on the screen. I have used them before for flashing it on the screen for making a point or doing sort of an LOL, but it's very, very quick and reasonably subtle. So I don't really use that one very often. What else do we have? And we have handwriting. So if you've ever seen me draw an arrow or something on the screen saying over here, I will use that one. So I might show you how to use that one in a minute. But the main ones that you're going to end up using are media and text all the time. Media to add in another layer of video, which is what the actual Zoom video is, a layer. And text to add in titles like this, Nikki and Tim, over there in the middle of the screen that just appeared. Let me play this for a little bit and you'll see something else that happens when Natasha comes onto the screen. Hi everyone, and welcome once again to Leadership.
This Thursday we've got Natasha Hawker.
Yeah. Okay, let me just press pause right there. So you see how she's zipped into the screen. You can see how she's cut out. It's like there's no background. It's a transparent background, and her name came up on the screen as Nikki said, Natasha Hawker. Natasha first, then Hawker second. Okay, so the way I did this is I simply added the layer title, where it opens up a screen like this. Let's type in Janelle. Janelle, oops, Janelle, because Janelle's there. And then Janelle will come up just there in the middle of the screen in not the font that I want. But if I want to make it bigger, I just press the little arrow sign down there in the corner and I make it bigger and smaller. And if I want to change the angle, I can do that there very, very simply. I don't typically do that. I do it sometimes. But let's say we want a giant Janelle on the screen. We want to change the font. You can just use whatever font you want. You can load fonts in, presumably. Let's use this one. I've never used this before in my life. That looks terrible. I can't bring myself to use it. Let's just use Times something or other. No, Vidana Bolt, that'll do. Okay, so we've got Janelle. Now you're looking at Janelle there on the screen. I want to change the color. So I just hit the color button up here. So let's just change the color to, let's make it red, even though it really doesn't go with the background. And then it's sort of contrasting against the background. It's not as nice as I'd like. So I can either add an outline or a shadow or a background for things to make it look a little bit better. So outline, if I just turn it on, there's an outline. I can make the outline thinner or bigger just by using that little bit on the side. So that looks reasonably nice. But when you look at that, what do you think about the word Janelle? Apart from Janelle thinking it's awesome that her name is there, what do you think about visually, what do you think when you look at that? Just let me know what you think. Go. Shirley says it looks okay. I can't, you're all muted, so if you're saying something, I can't hear you. Okay, somebody muted unnecessarily. Okay, so, right, so, well, for me, when I look at that, the letters are too far apart. Okay, I don't mind it, but the letters are too far apart. So what I'm going to do, so I'm happy with that outline. Oh, by the way, let me just show you some other things. I'll turn outline off for a second. Shadow gives you a shadow. And it's not as clear as outline, but I can change some of the elements of the shadow, how far away it is. That's the distance. The angle of the shadow, so where the light would be coming from. The spread of the shadow, I like to bring these down to about the spread about 30, and the size about 5. And that gives me like a border, but it's quite dark, and it's lifting Janelle off the page. Do you see that? So I don't mind that one either. So let's just leave it there for the time being. So I hit the tick button. Oops, I have to go back and hit the Janelle button. I can also add a background. So for some of the titles, I just will put a black background that's blended like this. So you can still see what's behind it. It's like for lower thirds where you're putting in people's names and titles and things like that down in the corner. That one's quite nice. And if you like, let me just show you. If you've gone and popped Janelle down there in the corner, for whatever reason, and you don't like the way that looks, you can just make it go all across the screen or just the bit with Janelle, which is really quite nice. You can play with that quite easily. So let's make Janelle big again in the middle of the screen. And I'm going to just turn that off. Oh, by the way, you can change the colors of those backgrounds if you wanted to. So it's a blue background instead. Can look quite nice if your theme is blue and you put a little bit of a blue background instead of black. But black is usually the standard, but it doesn't really matter what you do. Let me just turn that off for the time being. And let's go into text option. This is the one I really like because I can change the character width like that. I can make it ridiculous where you can't really read what's happening, but I can put it to about there. That looks, to me, that looks really nice. And if it was over multiple lines and the words are too far apart, I can use the line spacing to move the actual words up and down to give them closer together, if that makes sense. And then you can right align, just left align, or center up, center down on the page, depending what you do. You can even underline it. Okay, that's where the underline. I didn't know that until then. Okay, so all right, so now I'm happy with Janelle sitting there, and let's say I want to place that there, and that even red on those colors looks quite nice in the busyness of everything that's actually happening. But if I really wanted to go for color theming and everything else, I might actually, change Janelle to orange or something like that. It just fits a bit better. Whatever you want to do, that's up to you. Okay, so that is adding the layer of text. Was that easy enough? Yep, you can pretty much do that. The other one is adding some media. So I talked about this. So let's say I want to add in, let's say I want to add in the Zoom video. Maybe I should go to a clean one to show you this. Okay, so let me just go to a clean one to show you this. I've just ruined that one, but never mind. That's this one here, I think. Okay, so let me edit this. First of all, I don't like that being at the beginning, so let's just get rid of that. I'm going to click on that part of that main element that I put in there, and I can either hit the cut button and choose if I want to trim to the left of the playhead, which is the red line that's on the screen, where the playhead is like where the head is, what it's looking at. I can trim to the left of that, I can trim to the right of that, or I can just split it because I want to decide what I'm going to do later, or I want to split and insert some sort of freeze frame. I rarely use that, and in fact I don't ever really press that scissor button because they're over here on the side. So when you click the element here, it automatically starts to change some of the commonly used things on the side, which is why I love it. So over here it's just cut. So I've still got both sides. I've just cut it into two elements. I can now move this. I can put my finger on it and I can move that element to the back, to the front. I can move it around where I actually want it. If I wanted it later in the piece. And sometimes with a video, so let me just explain something very quickly. There was a video that I did with it was a domestic violence video, and I interviewed Janine Lee, who's a domestic violence expert, and the interview went for an hour and a half or 2 hours. And because of the nature of how we started that with a bit of a chat, it was just like, hi, you know, Janine, I was making her feel comfortable, and I didn't really know too much about her. And so I was just like, so, you know, what got you into domestic violence, and tell me a bit about your background. And she told me about the whole career in the police force and everything else, which was just, I mean, it was jaw-dropping. And she was an investigator, as a detective and all this stuff. And I was like, what? Who's a detective? So the thing was, if somebody had just come in without really knowing or really being overly interested, they would have seen the beginning of that preamble and may have switched off. There was no hook yet. I was making her feel comfortable in a 1.5 hour interview, but there was no real hook to keep the viewer in. So what I might do in that case is use this to grab a really interesting piece that I think will make people go, wow, I need to watch this. And then copy it, put it at the beginning, like what I just did then on the screen, and have that as your teaser, and then have an opening title to go, Tim Wade interviews Janine Lee. And then it goes into the, hi, Janine, you know, how you going? Do you know what I mean? So that's just a bit of video stuff. Now, let me just go back to the screen so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. So here, now I'm just going to undo what I just did on the screen. So now I've got the full element again. Okay, that whole video is now there again. So what I might want to do is I want to get rid of this stuff at the beginning, which has just got nothing. So I want to get rid of that. So let me just keep the bit with Nikki laughing, because I use those bits at the end as an outtake. Okay, let me just do that. On the middle of the screen, I'm going to hit this button over here, which is basically delete everything to the left of the line in the highlighted element. So I hit that and it's gone. This is just delete, so it's just deleted. Over here on the right, there was one to say delete everything on the other side. So for example, if I went there, I've just deleted the rest of the video. I didn't want to do that, so let's put that back. The other thing I could do is I could just split it, like I said, or I can, and these other buttons down here on either side, just jump you to the latest cut. Let me show you what that looks like. So let me just cut here, let me cut here, and now I'm in this first element. If I hit this button here, I'll cut it. I don't want to slice it. It's got a little pair of scissors there. This one just says fast forward to the next cut. So it just moves me to there. And now I'm right in the middle bit between the two elements, where if I want to insert a transition or I want to line up some music or something else, I can do that here. All right, so let me add in another layer, because that's what I was going to do. So that's the main layer. Let's add in, actually, let me show you how I built the other one. So let me add in, first of all, media. And I'm going to put in a photo. I'm going to use the background that I used before, which is, I think, that picture. Okay, so there's the picture that I wanted for the background. Now I've got the video. I can't have them both on the same line because it happens in sequence. So this thing now needs to be as a layer and not as the main element. So I'm just going to delete all of these because they don't need to be there. And I'm instead just going to make this nice and long. I don't know how long that is at the moment, doesn't matter. Okay, so let's leave that there as the main element. Now you'll notice that when I put in the Zoom video, so let's add in a layer of media. I'm going to add in the video. So I'm just going to find that video, 4 minutes, whatever it was, 32 or something. There. This is the video of me and Nikki. So it adds it in as a layer sitting over the top. Well, so what I'm going to do, now I can expand it and I lose my background, but obviously what I need to do is crop the black bits out. So I'm going to crop the black bits out by simply hitting the cropping button, which is just here on the screen. Second row, 3 across, cropping. So I'm going to hit the cropping button, and just like on any other thing that you crop anything with, you just use the bit in the corner and you crop it. I'm just cropping out the black bits, and that'll probably be enough. There you go. That looks quite nice. And now I'm going to pop it in the middle of the screen so that everyone can see. I'm going to leave that bit of a border, which looks quite nice. And now you see why I've got a problem with the title of that background image. because having that in the middle of the, by the way, if I don't know where the middle of the screen is, there's a dot, dot, dot up here in the top left-hand corner. If I hit that dot, 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 it allows me to duplicate this as another layer, center horizontally and center vertically. So let's do that. Let's center it horizontally. That was nice. Let's center it vertically. Okay, now that the video is right in the middle of the page. Does this make sense so far? I can't really see anybody.
Yes.
So, okay, great. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is you might have remembered that I had a nice background. I had a yellow box behind this. So I'm going to add that in. But first of all, I'm going to fix this blue background because I wanted the words to be in a better spot. So let me just click on that element. So now I've clicked on the main element here in that first timeline. Is this getting confusing with all the elements? Hope not. There's a main element and there's layers that sit on top of it, like layers on a bed. The main element is effectively a mattress. Okay, just hit that, which is not so great. Okay, let's do that. So this is my main element, my mattress. I'm just going to fix my mattress. First of all, I am going to put it on the screen where I want it, which is pretty much there. See, so that's the whole screen. I've moved it up to there so I can actually see the words Leadership Web Series. Can you see that? Yep. And I need to hit the equals button if I want it to look the same all the way through the video. Otherwise, it'll start in one position and transition slowly to another position. So I'm just going to say, yep, done, happy with that. And now, even though I've centered this video nicely, I still can't see the words web series. So I'm going to just move that down to about there. No big deal. So now we can see that. The other thing, of course, is you can just make the background picture correct. I was just using a picture that was already there that somebody sent me. You can just actually on Keynote or Canva or whatever it is, create a background image where all the words are up the top or down the bottom or exactly where you are. So when you whack the Zoom video over the top, everything's in the right spot. You don't actually have to do everything I'm doing. You just make the right background. You save yourself a lot of time. Okay? But for the sake of this exercise, I'm going to show you how I do it. Okay, I'm going to take the main element, the mattress. I'm going to duplicate it as a layer. I can duplicate it, so it'll put it next to it, but I'm going to duplicate it as a layer. So now I have the same background, just added as a layer. What I'm going to, now the reason why I'm doing this is you'll see because I moved that up there where we can see leadership, we can't see anything. There's a big black box down the bottom, which looks terrible. So I'm just going to, first of all, crop this because I don't need most of it. And then
Can you tell us again how you duplicated it, Tim?
Up the top left-hand corner, there's the 3 dots. And it said, if you're highlighting the right thing, if I'm highlighting that mattress, it allows me to duplicate it or duplicate it as a layer. Yep. I wanted to duplicate it as a layer. If I duplicated it normally, it'll just add it next to it over here. It'll add it as a mattress side by side in that main mattress layer, that main element layer. It's not a big deal if I did that. Okay. But I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now. So duplicating as a layer means I can put it wherever I want it on the video. And then I'm just going to expand that and make sure that that's positioned okay. That looks all right. Not a big deal that it doesn't really match up. Oh, what does make sense, what does matter is these other words in it. Something in your business matters. I want to see what that says. So let me just recrop that so I can see it, because what you do in your business matters. Okay, great. So we've got that. Let me just make sure that this element works. All right, let's just put it there. Oops, that's not going to work. It's not going to work because the reason why I said it's not going to work is you see that it doesn't align here. And that's because of this main one. So I'm just going to fix the main one first. I need to go into pan and zoom to do this. There you go, done. Okay, so I fixed the main one. I'm going back down here, just going to fiddle with this. I'm not going to try and align things down here because it's going to look obvious. I'm just going to use the Zoom video as the thing that's going to block out most things that look ugly. So I'm going to do maybe that. That'll do. Now, you'll notice that I've managed to it's over the top of the Zoom video, which is what I don't want. I actually want to put this in the background. So I'm going to go back up. Now, when I click the 3 dots for a layer, it gives me a different set of things that I can do. Now that I'm dealing with the layer, I can duplicate it as well, but I can also move it to the front, move it to the back, center it. I want to move it to the back. So I've just moved it. Yeah, so I've just moved it now behind the Zoom video. Okay, so now I've got the Zoom video sitting in front of the screen, which looks nice. But I don't like the fact that my curtain, well, maybe I do like the fact, but it looks like Nikki and I are sitting in the same room. There just happens to be a curtain and then a bookshelf. Actually, it works reasonably well, although it's a bit strange that we're sitting side by side talking to each other head on. So what I wanted to do is I decided to put a box behind it and a line like a window frame over the top of it. So let me show you how I did that. I can do that fairly quickly. Add a layer. I'm going to add media. Even though I don't have a media of the box, I'm going to add a photo. Even though I don't have a photo of it, I can use this button up here which says background. I'm going to hit background. It gives me a bunch of different backgrounds. In the video I used that one as a background and I put some titles over it. So I don't want that. I want an orangey yellowy box. So let's add, I've gone back to here because I cancelled it. So let's add that yellowy box. That'll do. And I want it to cover the Zoom video. What I'm doing is I'm expanding it this way and I'll crop it in a minute. So I want it to be just bigger than the box. And now I have to crop it. And I'll crop it. Oops. I will crop it down to just above the box. And I will crop it up to probably there. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. And now I'm going to send it to the back. Now I can't send it all the way to the back because now it's gone behind that blue layer picture that I put up. So I need to bring it forward one element. So I'm going to bring it forward and there it is. Now it's not perfect, but it's for the purpose of this. Okay, I have to make it perfect. Okay, for perfect, that's perfect enough. Now the other thing is I want a line going down the middle between Nikki and me. So I'm just going to, and by the way, I need to copy this to the whole video now to make sure it's either side. So all I did then, by the way, is I hit the element. There's yellow bars either side, and I just put my finger on that yellow bar, and that's where I can extend the edge of it. Yep, easily enough. Okay, I'm just going to copy this thing rather than having to choose boxes and change colors. I'm going to copy it again. So I'm just going to duplicate that. A layer can only duplicate as a layer, so it only gives you the duplicate function. And so now I have the exact same thing sitting over the top of it. I could move it around. There's the box. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to crop this so it's a very thin bar. And then I'm going to move that bar. Oops, I've managed to twist the bar. I'm going to move the bar to there. Done. That was pretty easy. Actually, let me, not quite accurate. There you go. Nope. That's me being a perfectionist unnecessarily. Okay, so now we've got that looking nice. Now the only thing is when you're fiddling around with the video, it's going to sometimes bring the video to the top layer. So at the end of your production, once you've got all the videos set up, you might need to move these things to the lower layer and the above layer, these yellow boxes. You'll see what I mean in a second. Okay, so now we've got the video looking reasonably nice, apart from that horrible thing at the beginning, which we can edit out in just a sec. In fact, let me just do that now. Cut to the left, move the video all the way. I just put my finger on the video to move in the middle of the video, to move it backwards and forwards, move it to the front, and now the video. Sorry, it'll be quick. Hi, once again, this is Tim and Nikki, and we're here talking about leadership. This week we have... You'll notice I've managed now to go across the back of this again. There we go, solved. Okay. See how we're building this? Makes sense so far? All right, now let's just do some cool things. So actually, is this the video with Steve?
Steve.
It is. Okay, great. So I'm actually going to build this video while we're doing it. So,
Sorry, it'll be quick. Hi, once again, this is Tim and Nikki, and we're here talking about leadership this week.
okay, so that's how I would do it. I'm going to do this a little bit differently because I'm going to show you how I use the previous one to make it a lot easier for me to do it, and I'll show you some of the other elements while I do that. Okay, so let me now hop out of this. I'm going to go back into the Natalie Hawker one. This is the one that I already did with Natalie. Let me go in and edit out Janelle, who's sitting in the middle of it. So let me just delete that. And I think I didn't add anything else. Okay, great. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back to that video. I'm going to click it again. It's going to open up to that screen one more time. And it gives me a couple of options to copy, upload it, or save it as a, save it as a video on your videos. That's when you render it all, or delete the thing. And this is the edit button. So if I want to play it and see what it looks like, I hit there, edit it there. But these three little ones down here, I can copy it. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to duplicate that entire project. So I just hit duplicate, it makes a copy of it. This is now the duplicate. I'm going to change the title, and I'm going to change it to Steve Pipe. Steve Pipe. I'm also going to change I'm going to leave it at that for the time being. Okay, so Steve Pipe teaser. I'm now going to edit it. Now there's something I'm going to, okay, let's just leave it for that for the time being. So this is now the Natalie Hawker one that I'm going to use. And I'm going to show you how I did some of those elements. I'm now going to replace the video. So I'm just going to delete that. I'm going to add in the media, like you know how to do. 4 minutes 32, add that in. Oops, I did it incorrectly. I'm going to bring in I added it as the main mattress layer, which is not what I want to do. I want to add it as a normal layer. 4 minutes 32. Need to do the cropping that we talked about before. Yeah, but about there works. Done. Move that to where I want it on the screen. Oops. A bit smaller. About there. That'll do. And now I need to move it back a layer. So let's move it to the back. Now I'm going to bring it forward 1, bring it forward 2. There you go. Okay. So now it's as far back as it possibly can be for it to work on that screen, to work with the layers of the yellow being there and everything else. And of course, we've swapped spots. So I've already got the titles of Nikki and me here. I'm just going to move that one to there. I'm going to click down here and move Nikki's over to her. Go back to mine, pop it back there. Done. Okay, so one more time, just in case. Sorry, it'll be quick. Hi, once again. Okay, so I like shots of her laughing and stuff like that, but I put them at the end as a sort of a blooper thing to make us look fun and approachable. So I'm not going to delete that. I'm just going to move it. It'll be quick. Okay, I'm about to start. So I now hit the middle of the thing. I want to split the video. I want to take that first part of the video. I showed you how to do this already. I'm just going to chuck it all the way to the end in case I need it. So I'm just holding it down while it moves, and I'll just pop it over there somewhere. And I don't know how many times I did this video. So I'm probably not going to edit the whole thing while you're here, but I'll show you how I'm going to do elements of it. Okay, now it starts like this.
Hi, once again, this is Tim and Nikki, and we're here talking about leadership.
Okay, you heard some music right at the beginning. Let me show you how to add some music. So Over here, you've got an audio button. So you got your media, which is your main mattress layer, your layers, which are all the sheets on top of the mattress, your music, and then there's a record button. Record is for you to record yourself or record audio. So sometimes, like yesterday, I said blah 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 10 something, 10 people, blah 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 blah, and it was 12 people. So I just went back and recorded myself saying 12 and just put it over the where I said 10. Silenced the moment where I said 10 by cutting either side and then reducing the volume of that little bit where I said 10, and just had the little layer sitting over the top of audio, me saying 12. Didn't sound that great, so I ended up recording the whole thing again. But you can do it. Okay, so what I want to do is add some audio. So let's hit audio. I've got a whole bunch of different things I can do with audio. Music assets. It's got some cool music. Yep. Or if you're up in the mountains, with the setir going. All right, anyway, I don't want any of those. Now, the thing is with music, they usually go on for about a minute or something, and they're reasonable for having background noise, or if you're doing a video with no voiceover and you've got stuff happening on screen, like, for example, Kenneth being on stage and doing amazing things, and you've just got words coming up on screen. So I've got videos like that in my show reel. But I really don't use the music ones very often. I tend to use sound effects, and it'll give you a bunch of sound effects, and you can also go into the shop, and it'll show you a bunch of ones that when it says premium, presumably you have to pay for that, and there's others which are free, and you can just press play. This is footsteps. So you want to put some footstep sound effects in, you can, and you go, yep, okay, download, and it'll put it in your assets. I don't really need to do that, but you can play with that. And there's some I found, like the guitar ones. Okay, these are 5-second sort of stingers. In fact, the main music part goes for about 3. So I like it for things like this. So let's pretend we wanted that one. We just add it in, and the music track just appears down here. And now when I play the video, go, yep, that'll do. Hi, once again, this is Tim and Nikki, and we're here talking about leadership this week. And I think in a day and age of very short attention spans, having a 1-minute music track with a very fancy intro of your logo and your name and stuff going on like a Mission Impossible start of a movie, I think is a disastrous thing to do, because everyone will get bored and turn the thing off, because it's very self-promoting. So what I tend to do is I have half a second or 1 second of boom, here's the thing. And then get out. Because this one's got all the words all over the screen anyway, I don't have to do that. I just get straight into it to hook the person in. So with what it is we're actually talking about. So I'm going to get rid of that music track. So down here, I do have a piece of music, but then I just cut it out. Now you can fade it out. When you click on a picture track, you get different sets of commands that are related to a picture track. You click on a music track, you've got different things here, like the mixer, where you can change the volume, change whether it's left or right speaker, stuff like that. I usually don't touch that. The one I do touch is auto volume. So yesterday I created a bunch of speakers giving tips to other speakers about how to get the next gig, and their audio was all different. Some people were sitting miles away from a microphone, some people didn't have a microphone, some people sound like they're speaking to a can, and they sent through their videos, and so when I put it together, the experience for the listener would have been terrible, and I would have had to tweak volumes and everything else to try and get it right. I just hit auto volume and it kind of sorted it all out. So from that perspective, super easy. But for things like music, I might want to fade the music. So if I want to fade the music or silence it, I just hit that, it'll just mute the music. There's a little button up there. But if I want to change it, I can hit the volume envelope. And what that does is it just gives me the opportunity to put in points in the track. Like here, I can put in a point, and then I can move it a little bit and put in another point and reduce the volume. And you'll see down here, the volume reduces it. You can control the fade if you wanted to. And I'll go over to the end, and I'll move that one down as well, and I'll move it down to 0, and you'll see what that sounds like when I do this. Hi, once again, this is Tim and Nikki, and we're here talking about leadership. This week we have... Okay, so that didn't really do very much. So let me just change the volume envelope again. The reason is this needs to be faster when it turns itself down. So let's add in one there. And let's add in one next to it. Let's take that one right down, and let's get rid of that one. There's a little delete thing, and I can jump to them with these jump buttons, and then I can just delete the next one. Okay, so basically I just pushed it earlier. Let's have a listen.
Hi, once again, this is Tim and Nikki, and we're here talking about leadership this week.
Okay, so that took the volume down much quicker before I started talking. Anyway, I don't need that track, so I'm just going to delete it. But I just showed you how I do it. I've got a tiny little track sitting in here, which was just music, and I just cut it. I mean, you don't really hear it fade out or anything. I just did a hard cut and was ruthless, like this.
Hi, once again, this is Tim and Nikki, and we're here talking about...
It didn't matter that much because you're paying attention to me at that point. Okay.
Leadership this week, we have Steve Pipe.
Okay, amazingly, I said Steve Pipe at the same time Natasha Hawker came up on screen, which means I can just edit it. So I'm going to hit Natasha. I'm going to go up here to the keyboard icon, hit that, and I'm going to put in the word Steve instead. Steve. And then Hawker, I'm going to obviously change to Pipe because that's his name. Steve Pipe. I'm going to show you something very cool in just a second about bringing the photo in. Okay, so let's see how that looks.
Here talking about leadership this week, we have Steve Pipe. Steve is awesome.
That looked fantastic. I don't like where it is on the screen, so let's just bring it in a little bit more. I might move that later. Okay, that looked kind of nice. And the fact that I did Natalie in those colors means I'm going to do Steve in a different color. I chose those colors because they were the colors of Natalie's dress. So I'm going to now bring in Steve's photo, and we're going to see what we do with Steve. So I don't need Natalie anymore, so I will delete her photo, and I shall bring in Steve. So let's bring in a layer, and let's have a look at the photo. And I've got this photo of Steve, and I can't stand the white background. So I can use the Chroma Key function here. So when you're doing stuff with green screen, you can use Chroma Key in Kinemaster, which is freaking amazing. Except that it's not going to work for this because he has a white background and white teeth. So his teeth are going to be invisible as well if I do it. But if I do this, I can play with these two bars. Oh, I choose the key color, which is white. And everything's vanished. And now I can try and find him again. Hang on a second. Just move these two until Steve appears. And as you can see, that's really just not going to work. Not bad, but not good enough. Fair enough? It just looks like he's been dug up. So let's remove that. And now I'm going to show you something over here. I'm going to come into here. So this will stop other screen sharing. Do you want to continue? I don't know what I'm doing. So let's stop screen share. I just hit stop screen share, I suppose. And now I'm going to share my screen here. I'm just going to go into Chrome, wherever Chrome is. Chrome. Share. Okay, up here, I'm just going to type in remove.bg, which is a cool little thing that helps me remove the backgrounds to stuff. I'm going to upload an image. And let me move this menu thing out of the way. I need Steve Pipe's photo. I wonder if I have it here. That looks like it. It's a tiny photo. There's a chance that this is the wrong size photo. Nope, that'll do. Download Steve Pipe transparent. Better write transparent. I put trans, it's wrong. And save. Save and downloads. Open that up. Show in Finder. There it is. I'm going to send it to my iPad. AirDrop. iPad. Done. Stop screen share. And I'm going to come back here. And I am going to go back into Zoom, share my content. And instead of seeing my fan and my hand, you should see my screen again. Okay. All right, that was easy enough. Let's add in Steve. Layer, picture, photo, all. Steve with no background. Steve still has a background. What the hell happened? Let me just delete that. That was interesting because it said it had a background. I've experienced this before and I'll show you how to deal with it. Let me try that one more time. Layer, media, photo. There's a picture of him with, let me try doing that first. That was that one. And now let me try doing the one I actually want. Oops, which is this one. Okay, I have experienced this before. Here's how I solve the problem. I'm going to open up Keynote. Presentations, new presentation, black background, doesn't really matter what color background. I'm going to delete that, delete this, and watch me make a green screen. So I'm going to choose the color of the background is going to be really ridiculously green. Don't really like that green, but it's going to have to do. Okay, we have a green background, and now I'm just going to add the picture of Steve over the top of it, which is a very workaroundish sort of way to do it. And for whatever reason, that's why, I've still got the white background. Never mind. The good thing about Keynote is I can do this. So that doesn't always happen with what just happened then, but it does happen from time to time. I don't quite know why, but it happened. And so I always have plan B, and here it is. So I go to Image, I go Instant Alpha. I'm going to change that, get rid of that, done. Now he's sitting on a green screen. Did you see what I just did? Yep. So I went to hit the image button, Instant Alpha, put my finger on the color I don't want to have anymore, moved it around a little bit until it vanished. And now we've got a nice big picture of Steve sitting on a green background, because when I go into the other program, I'm going to get rid of that green. Hopefully his eyes aren't green. Never mind, I'm going to get rid of the green. Okay, so save this picture. You know, if I really wanted to cheat, I will just do, and I'm going to cheat. I'm just going to do a screenshot. So just give me a second. Where are all my buttons? There they are. There's a good chance I'm going to turn everything off here. Actually, why don't I just do this? Yep, I turned everything off. Let's try that again. Take a screenshot. Okay, I need to reshare my screen because I managed to lose it, but I took a screenshot just then. And now I go back into Kinemaster. Let me go back to Zoom, share my screen. Done. Okay, Kinemaster. And I'm going to add in that picture of Steve. So let's get rid of that one. Let's add in a new layer, picture, photo, Steve, green background. And I am going to hit the picture again. Chroma key. Key color is green. Turn the thing on. And now just adjust these until I can see Steve, which is pretty much now. There he is. Now, the difference between this one and Natalie's is that I have got Steve's shoulder being cut off. So I can be clever and draw something in, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to have Steve turning up over here, which seems to make sense. So let's make Steve enormous. Not that enormous. And yes, he's appearing right over Nikki, which is not the best, but there he is. That looks interesting and different enough. Okay, so there's Steve. He's going to turn up on the screen. And I am going to have him turn up over there. Then he's not exactly in front of Nikki. And I'm going to use in animation to bring him in. So there's different animations that we can use. I'm going to bring him in. You can use fade, have him fade up, pop, slide, whatever you want to do. You can do all these different things. I'm just going to use enter, slide, left. There you go. So you're going to pop in. That'll do. And then I'm going to, with that same image, that same image, I'm going to have an out animation where he's going to slide down. Which I just think looks funny. Okay, so, and he's going to do that a little bit fast. I can change the speed down here of how fast these things happen. And that'll do. So he does it, he has a quick exit. And now let's just move it over here. So now I'm moving the actual picture itself so that he turns up after I say Steve, or as I'm saying Steve Pipe. And of course, the word pipe is going to be stuck behind his head, so I'm going to have to move that in a second too. So let's just have a look at what it looks like so far.
Leadership this week, we have Steve Pipe. Steve is awesome. Gotta love Steve. Nikki, tell us a bit more.
Steve is awesome. Gotta love Steve. I don't know what sort of intro that is, but there it is. So I'm going to move the word pipe down here. And quite frankly, I'm going to move the word Steve to there. And this is one of those videos where I'm breaking a bunch of rules about putting things in front of people's faces and stuff like that. But there is an element of grunginess that happens today of that this is okay and accepted, so long as we go back to some normalcy and beauty after you've messed up the screen. And I do this because I'm also thinking about what is the placeholder shot that I'm going to use for the video when people go online and see a placeholder. So this image could be quite a nice placeholder. And it would be possibly nicer if I put Steve here. Steve.
Tim, you are on mute.
Was I muted the entire time?
No, just after you said you wanted to put a placeholder.
How on earth did that mute itself? I blame Shirley. Okay, so let's just change the colors here. Thank you for telling me I was on mute. Let's make Steve, I'm going to make him yellow. Suppose we can do that. I've got a shadow color in there. Let's change the shadow color to black or something. That looks all right, I suppose. I can go light blue. Might be too compact. It doesn't really matter. I'm showing you how to do this. Okay, so let's go to that. Let's change the background color or the shadow color to that blue or dark blue. No, black. I think I had black. And there we have Steve Pipe. So let me see what that looks like.
Shift this week, we have Steve Pipe. Steve is awesome. Gotta love Steve. Nikki, tell us a bit more.
Yeah, do love Steve. Steve is a former Entrepreneur of the Year and named as the world's most highly rated account.
Okay, so let's get rid of these additions that are in there. And there's a book that's, okay, so most of these people have got a book that's turned up. So what I did is I pretty much went on to Google Photos, grabbed the picture of a book with a transparent background. You know, presumably you know how to do that. So you go into Images, you type in what you're looking for, and you select Tools, Color, Transparent, or you just type in the word transparent. And it gives you the little boxy background, and hopefully it should give you a picture like that, which you whack in there, which is exactly what I was trying to do with the Steve photo before, but for whatever reason didn't happen. And most of the time it happens, it just didn't happen then. So there it is. That's where I plunked in the book. Same thing I just did with Steve's photo. We have the book in the picture when we're talking about it. I put some other pictures and images in there with effects as I was talking, but I don't think there's too much else that is unusual that I did. There was one thing I did. Okay, let me come to the end. So the end is quite interesting.
That connection to getting to know him would be fantastic. Yeah. So join us on Thursday.
Okay, so what I did there is I just had it was the in animation for the words was just that it was sliding in, so it was looking like I was typing it, and it was on just that black background. And one of the letters that I typed in was the emoji for click, go to that link. So let me just show you how that worked again.
Fantastic. So join us on Thursday for Steve Pipe. I'm super looking forward to it.
Now, the other thing I do down here is I shift the word shift, and all I did there is I put I tried to get the same font, and I wrote the word shift again as a text overlay, and I put it up there, and I just had a little animation of it flickering, which does this. So just watch up here on the screen.
Love hearing from Steve. I always get inspired when he speaks.
So it was a very subtle little animation, and all that was the overall animation was using flicker. So I just flickered it, and there's other weird things you can do like pulse, jitter, fountain, where it's all falling down. I mean, there's ridiculous ones that you're never going to use in 1,000 years. But I used that for the purposes of what I wanted to do. And then I have the call to action, and so they're all in different layers because I've got them at different sizes, so that's 3 different text boxes here. And then I come to the call to action. Oh, here, let me show you how to do this. So here I go to black and white all of a sudden because I want to make it very clear that it's an outtake. And it was only because in this particular one it wasn't clear that it was an outtake. So I decided.
I had listened to him speak. Once again,
who got this Thursday? So what I do is I click on the actual layer or the video. I go to filter, and there's all these different filters that you can use. And this was just the black and white one. I mean, I could have used sort of some oversaturation color or whatever. There's a lot of stupid ones, like I don't know why anyone would use that unless they're making some ghost story. But black and white or an oversaturated one is the ones I might use. There's another one that's very nice. That's this one. This one seems to keep blue only. So you'll see the lights and the folders in the background are only blue and everything else is black and white. So I really quite like that one. And then there's all these other things here, but they've got a little crown, which means you've presumably got to pay for them. So I ignore them immediately. But most of the things can do what I want. Actually, I quite like it. I'll leave it. Can do what I want without having to pay for stuff. And then we get into the final sequence. I think I'm still talking about Steve. Hang on.
Let's do it again. Was about the way that his ideas, his giving nature, his giving art.
Okay, so this is where I have a longer piece of music because I'm not saying anything. I'm showing stuff on screen. Let me show you what I'm doing. And let me just cut that so you can see what the actual video looks like. So at this point, it would do something like this.
Let's do it again.
Did I ask you who we have?
Number
I'm
one
about to tell you about it.
and his glowing recommendation.
Let's do it again.
Okay, so at this point, I've got a white background, so I just added in media because it's at mattress layer, not sheets. I added in media. So I hit media, I hit photo, I put in background, and I chose a white background. Yep, so I just chose a white background. And then I put in text. So I put in one lot of text and put it up here. All ticket proceeds support. And then I added in the logo as a picture, free to shine. And I waited a little while before I brought in the next text layer, which says, who protect young girls from sex traffickers in Cambodia by keeping the girls in school. And then that sits there, and then that disappears. So it gets the audience to follow what you want them to read when you want them to read it. So I bring it in, I bring this in first, so they go, all ticket proceeds support that. And then I want them to read this. If I just put it all on the screen, I don't know what they're going to read. So I layer it. And then while their eye is down here, I remove that and I put in the link. And I had the link not centered because I was about to do that and I didn't want the link covering the people's photos. So that's the only reason why I did that. Otherwise, I probably would have had it centered. And it kind of ends like this. So this is the NC, and so you'll notice that music track starts with piano and then goes into this big uplifting bit. And I like those sorts of tracks because it allows you a cut point to finish. So let me just move this out of the way so you'll see how it finishes without interruption.
People that had listened to him speak was doing this sort of top 20 most people who most influenced his life and thinking. And the guy was going to number 20, number 19, all these amazing people. Number one was Steve Pike for this fella. And his glowing recommendation.
You see how the music brings it in? High and twice. Not enough time to read it. And then I do a hard cut again. And I never fade to black. Don't fade to black, because on YouTube and other things, you want, if it's going to stop and the last thing they're going to see on the screen is black, you're losing the fact that it stops and that's staring them in the face the whole time. So you'd rather that stare them in the face, the final image, rather than black. Fade to black is nice for movies. It's not nice if you're trying to sell something. So you leave that on the screen. And I tend to upload these things into Vimeo, not YouTube, because I can control what buttons appear on the screen and I can control what plays next, which usually for me is nothing. I don't have anything playing next. I don't want them to go and see my next videos. I want them to take action, which is to go and type in that link to go and join the webinar, whatever it is. Does this make sense? I'm just trying to figure out if I've actually forgotten anything. So let's just go down some of the buttons here on the side. That just takes us back to where I was. So I want to go back and, oops, let's start a new one. So let's go back to edit. So we're back in here. So this is my normal screen that's this button. If I haven't clicked anything, it's going to give me a back button to take me back to the menu. If I've clicked something, that changes to the ... So it's quite handy. But if I haven't clicked anything, it'll take me back to the menu. This is just undo and redo buttons. So if I've done something, I want to undo and redo. There's a couple of buttons there. The next one down just changes. Oh, this is capture. So this is capture this as a clip on screen. So if I wanted to pause, if I had something happening and I wanted to pause that shot and extend it a little bit, I could do that. I could capture it and save it, or capture it and add it as a layer, or capture it and add it as a clip, the mattress layer. That would make sense if, for example, you're filming somebody on stage and you pan to what's on the screen and you pan back again, but you really wanted to stay at what was on the screen for longer so that people watching could see it. You might then go and clip that as a clip, hold it like as a still photo, and it comes back to continuing the pan back. That would be the reason for using that. This button is I don't even know what this is. Project settings. Oh, this is just like, it doesn't matter about that. Play with that some other time. This button here just changes your view, just puts this, makes the real estate for what the actual final product is smaller. If you've got a lot more layers, you might want to look at it like this. Typically, I don't have that many layers. This is already a lot of layers, and I quite like the fact that I can flick to these controls. These ones are, there's at the moment when I have nothing clicked, I can actually put a bookmark, which doesn't interfere with any of the layers. It just gives me a bookmark, and that would be here. So I can put a bookmark on the screen. It's purple, and what that also does is it allows me to line things. Now the difference between this and pretty good software, I mean, like more advanced ones, is those ones you can auto-align things, you can clip them, you can keep them, group them all together and move things in groups. There's elements of this where if I started to, if I add in another mattress layer, let me just show you some of the limitations that annoy me, but once you know that they're there, you just avoid them. So let me just add in a video. Let me add in this video. So this is one of the little placeholder ones that I had once before. Let's add that in. I have no idea what I just added in. Oh, I added in the domestic violence video. Do I really want to add that in? No, let's not add that in. Let's add in something like this. So let me go back to the beginning. Now, if I'm at mattress layer, okay, at that fundamental layer, and I'm adding in a new mattress, what may annoy you is the fact that it pushed the mattress layer and all the other videos, but kept everything else where it was. And if you've just gone, I just wanted a new intro sequence, so now I have to move all of these elements individually, that's going to drive you crazy. So you want to think about this a little bit beforehand. But what you could do, instead of doing that, is you could actually save and export the video, and then start a new one, put in your intro, put in the whole video, and do it like that. So there's workarounds, but you just want to think about it a little bit more before you start these things. And now,
Hi, once again, this is...
it just looks weird. Okay, let me just get rid of that. So at mattress layer, things don't, once you put it somewhere, it won't stay there if you're fiddling around with the other things. So there are grouping elements and pinning elements, but nothing seems to stick it at this point. All right, I think that is pretty much enough. Maybe I'll go with questions. If you've got any questions about how to do something, I will attempt to answer them.
Tim, could you show us again at the end, you have your website link that you want people to click on. Can you show us again how to animate that?
Sure. So let me go back into, take me off the screen again. Okay, let me create one brand new one. Let's just do it here. Okay, so I'm going to add in a layer. It's going to be text. Animate me. I want to put in an emoji. On my iPad, I've got a little emoji keyboard button here. So I just go up to emoji. I choose my emoji. I don't know, it's going to be that. And there we are. So now I've got some text sitting here on the screen. Can't really see it, so I'm going to make the background black. And I'm going to say, yep. I'm going to then move it down to here. And I'm going to use, I've still got it highlighted. So the text is still highlighted at the moment. I'm going to use in animation. This is the animate in, and then there's an animate out. So like Steve slid in, that was the in animation. Then there's an animation while he's there, which is mostly ridiculous. You can avoid them. And then there's the animate out. So I'm going to use an in animation, and I'm just going to go through them until I can find what I want, which might be letter by letter. Letter by letter, which looks like it's typing. Fair enough. Oh, well, I didn't show you handwriting. I need to show you that one. So there you go. So then you've got
people who most influenced his life and thinking, and the guy was going through number 20, number 19, all these amazing people. Number one was Steve Pipe for this fella, and he.
See how that works? Yep. Do you need me to do?
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Now let me show you. This is a very cool one. If you think about how it's going to animate, okay? This is drawing. I'm going to draw on the screen now. So I'm going to animate me. Actually, we're going to do this one. We'll do it over here. So this has just come up. La da da da. Wait, shift, and I'm going to just do a big arrow. So I hit the, so let me just go back. I hit layer. I hit pen, which says handwriting. And then I've got different sizes of pens, highlighters, paint brushes, whatever you play with this, you'll see. I'll just use the pen. This tells me, I don't know, maybe that's going to make a square. Don't know what that is. And then this is the size of the actual pen. So let's make it that size. This is the color. Let's make it yellow. And that's the eraser and erasing blocks. Okay, and let's just do this. Nope, nothing happened. Let me try that again. Okay, so let's do this. That's because I clicked out. I should have set everything up and then I exited for some reason. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, so I drew that. And now it'll look like this.
Listen to him speak, was doing this sort of top 20 most people who most...
You know I've got 3 here, so let me just delete that and see what happens. Delete, delete. Because I was fiddling around, it was doing stuff. Delete. I think that's the... I think I deleted the one I wanted. Okay, never mind. Delete. Let me do it again. So I'm going to say I've just put in the The website address is turned up. So I'm going to add in the handwriting layer. Let's make it yellow. Let's make it red. Let's make it gigantic. Let's make it a big. That's not the size. This is the size. Let's make it big like that. And let's just do this. Okay. And now, when I do that, it's not going to be the final way I want it to look, but just check this out.
Was doing this sort of top 20 most people who most.
Okay, so that just appeared. Now I'm going to animate it. So let's do an in animation, and I'm going to do a wipe down because it'll look like I'm drawing. So let's see. Let's go wipe down. Okay, so and I'll make it a little bit faster. Okay, not the best, but not bad. And there you go. So let's
sort of top 20 most people who most influenced his life and thinking.
So it gives you a little bit of simple movement as to what's happening on the screen. Kind of makes sense? Now, I've used that before. It's very nice. It's like when I've said something's gone from here to there, and I've shown the first thing and the second thing, and I've just had the arrow wiping across. It just makes it look a little bit extra nice. You might have to fiddle around a little bit to get your arrow looking right. Okay, that was the only other thing I've used before that I thought might be useful. Any other questions I can show you how to do? Shirley, did I answer the one that you were struggling with before?
Well, you'll be very happy that I've gotten a lot further than I did last time. I do have a quick question. How do we change the layers? Can we move the layers around easily?
You mean move them up and down here on the screen?
Yes.
No, I mean,
right.
So here, this it will do that automatically.
Right. Okay. In case I make a mistake.
Yeah, there's no real reason for moving it up and down. You can't see my finger.
Yes, I can.
Okay, there's no real reason for moving this up and down. But
okay.
There is a reason for having the layers where the layers are. You don't want your mattress protector at the top of all your bed sheets. You want the mattress protector just on top of the mattress, right? So that's when you do that, that's where you're using this button up here to move things up and down. But as far as rearranging them on the screen here, no, this doesn't let you do that.
So just to let you know, darling, this is where I've got so far. You'll be very happy with me. I don't know if you can see my screen, but
yep.
So I've got Mark full screen,
yep.
And then I go to me with my top and tail.
Very nice.
I'm very happy.
Very good.
I'm
Brilliant.
so happy. It took me about 2 hours.
Yeah, but very nice. Now, the other thing to consider is think about when people are going to be watching your video. And if they're going to watch your video at nighttime, you don't want a really bright video insofar as big white backgrounds necessarily.
Okay. Good idea. So maybe I'll change the color and just change the font and everything.
Yeah. I mean, so I will typically go with, I mean, this one is bright. This looks fantastic online. When you're posting it in Facebook and stuff, and you've got something like that very picture with the money sitting in the bag, that's going to create people are going to go, okay, I need to, what? You know, whatever's going to hook them in, right? And so, so there's various things you can do in it. And what I like about Vimeo is you just go through the video and choose the placeholder video that you're going to use. Do you know about, you guys use Vimeo for that? Okay, great. So, yeah. So then what I would do once I finish the video is I go, okay, I'm done. There's a little arrow up here. So here I can play the video.
Looking forward to hearing
whenever I want to play it and check it. That's what I do with the button here. That's presumably a shop of some description. Here I just upload the video. Now I can either upload the video from here once I'm happy with it. I go, yep, let's upload. When I say upload the video, it's not uploading it at all. I can export the video as a complete video, and it exports to your pictures file. So when I hit that button, it'll do export and share. Or I can go back out to here, and I go, oh, I'm out here again. Click my video, the export button's there as well. So I can just export it from there, exactly the same screen. You can fiddle with the settings here of 4K, HD, 520p, whatever you want to do. What I tend to do is I don't touch the settings. I've touched the settings before, and it doesn't. I don't find it necessary to touch the settings, because what it does is it sets it to the resolution of the images and the video quality that you already have. So it kind of uses that, and then it brings it in. You just hit the export button and it'll sit there and export. Depending on how big your video is, it can take 20 minutes to export. Like if it's a 2 gig video file and goes for an hour and something, I mean, I'd stop that and wander off and do something else. But this one's only about a 5-minute video, so you can see it's actually progressing reasonably quickly. It'll be over and done within a couple of minutes. I don't really want to export that, so I'm going to stop exporting. That'll go and plonk it in your photos, and there'll be a video in here somewhere of your video file, like this thing, for example. So this one I actually did in there as well, and it was fairly straightforward and simple. And now you can see how I did it. You can see this. That was just popping in that video. It looks rather nice. That's just the text popping up on the screen. I'm deliberately making it very minimalistic because I want the focus to be on the content and not on all the stuff that I'm showing. I didn't have bells and whistles on this particular one, partly because it was meant to be content specific for a particular audience, and I wasn't trying to showcase me. But if I show you some other videos that I've done, you'll see that they can look pretty special. Let me go back into Kinemaster, and I'll just show you an example. One of the ones I do really like was this one, I think. No, this one. So Mark Wadey. Now, this particular video.
Hi again, and this week on...
So this particular one, I'll just fast forward through the video. There's a couple of elements here you'll see that I used. So as I'm going through
organizations such as the NRL.
Hey, did you see the arrow? So there I used the arrow. It was quite nice. So let me just go back and you watch it again.
It's been sought by organisations such as the NRL, ABC and White Ribbon Australia.
Okay, that one, I blurred the first picture. So I had the first picture showing. Then when I overlaid the second picture, I blurred this one out because 2 pictures were competing. But when I blurred it, it lifted the second picture, and that's where I used that FX, which I said I never use. I did use it for this one, to blur the picture out. I'll show you again.
Such as the NRL, ABC and White Ribbon Australia. He says leadership is a decision and a responsibility, not just a title and a pay rise. Okay. And he's the author of a...
So there's that. Then we start talking. What I like about this series is that can get a bit boring if it's just us in a big picture. That's why I kind of want to put stuff on it. So this is what I do.
Cultural distancing of people within the team that can really impact team dynamics. And then those influences within the team that can impact that as well. So it's really, really important, I think, what he has to say.
I'm so interested in what he's going to be talking about, because his programs tackle inequality, bullying, harassment, like you said, racism and violence in the workplace. And
now that picture there, which when you're thinking about communicating, why would you just shove everything on the screen like that? I was creating the feeling of a lot of stuff, a lot of content in there, but also the racism debate was fairly hot on social, and all of these debates are hot at the moment, and they should be. And so what I wanted was that as the, well, I didn't want it, but when I did it for the video. And then when I looked at all the images I could use for this particular one, I put that one in there, because this guy talks about how to deal with this as a leader when this sort of stuff is happening in your business. So I wanted people to come in and learn from him, because, you know, he's got some solutions. And I like busy. You got to contrast busyness with simplicity. So this was busy, and then it goes back to
and in
simplicity. And you'll also notice the exit was staggered. They didn't all exit at exactly the same point, which makes it fairly harsh on the eye. I didn't have them all aligned for the exit to all exit at the same point. They exited in a very fast sequence. Watch this.
in the workplace. And in Thursday's leadership, he's going to be talking about how we build.
So all that means is that when the text boxes are all, they're not all aligned up, I just move them in a little bit so that they all come out at a slightly different time. I'll show you once again so you can see what I mean. Well, there, if I go through it slowly, this is how they come in, then they go out like that. Yep.
Racism and violence in the workplace. And in Thursday's leadership, he's going to be talking about how we build workplaces that are cultures of respect and integrity and non-violence. And
so then he's got, we do this, then there's a call to action as to when the thing is. So usually when I'm talking about the date, that's on the screen saying when it is, and usually this is this Thursday, so that's the primary thing. And then we go through, there's the element, and then I do a bit of a fun bit at the end for whatever reason. And then there's that final bit again, which is a fairly standard sequence. But once you've made your first one and done all the thinking about design, everything else is going to be a lot easier to do because you don't have to rethink that. You can just change colors. So for me, the first one took ages. The second one takes a lot less time. It's going through the video and editing out ums and ahs and pauses. And it also makes, when you're doing it, it makes shooting the video a lot easier, because if I'm shooting the video and I make a mistake, I just pause and do it again, because I know I'm just going to cut it out. We don't have to reshoot everything. Just get on with it. Hi, once again, this is Tim and Nikki, and we're here talking about leadership. This week we have Steve Pipe. Steve is awesome.
Yeah, do love Steve. Steve is a former Entrepreneur of the Year and named as the world's most highly rated accountant and advisor to accountants. He's the author of a number of best-selling books, 3 of which are 101 Ways to Make More Profits, Stress-Proof Your Business and Your Life, and How to Build a Better Business and Make More Money.
These sound like titles that are amazing. I mean, I'm lucky enough to be involved in 2 of the books that he put together with multiple co-authors. You're in this one as well, right?
Yeah, I am.
So he's talking to us about creating a book?
Yeah, exactly. So if you've ever wanted your prospective clients to sit up, listen, and take you more seriously, then you'll be interested in learning about how being an author changes the quality of conversations that you have with potential clients. So whether you might publish a book or a blog or other assets in your business, Steve's going to explore with us the other business opportunities that then creates. So he's also going to give you some simple tips and tools that'll give you the confidence and the ability to become a published author if you want to be.
That's fantastic. Look, and even if you're listening going, I don't really want to write a book, just the process of going through and writing, getting those ideas out, first of all, gets you clear on ideas. Secondly, gets you to consolidate those ideas into a succinct package. And third, having written that little piece, you can repurpose it all over the place. And Steve's written those books about how to increase profit, how to increase business. I think just listening to Steve and creating that connection to getting to know him would be fantastic. So join us on Thursday for Steve Pipe. I'm super looking forward to this. Nikki, I love hearing from Steve. I always get inspired when he speaks.
Yeah.
One more time, just in case. Sorry, it'll be quick.
Any other questions? Was that valuable?
Tim, it's been hugely valuable, and you've gone a long time there, so I think we're all very grateful.
Okay. All right, good. Well, I hope that was handy. So look, if you've got any questions and you get stuck and you need some help, don't ask me, because just go online and look it up online or whatever it is. But if you really, really, really need it, the reason why I'm saying that is because this is also going to go into the remote speakers group, where there's 1,680 people, and if everyone is asking me for help, I won't get anything else done unless I started a new business, which is helping people do Kinemaster. But yeah, like if you're really stuck, then sure, I can help, but there's probably far better tutorials online. I just haven't watched them, and I just thought I'd show you how to do these.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you
You're
very
welcome.
much.
It was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy
Yeah.
Friday, everybody.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you
Bye.
very much, Steve.
Thanks,
Bye.
Tim.
You're
Bye.
welcome. Bye-bye.